Hello producers, it's Özgün here. In this tutorial, we are gonna talk about the music theory. And I'm gonna try to teach you the essentials of the music theory. And if you're ready, let's get into that today's tutorial. We are gonna talk about music theory, but we have to make sure we are understanding the music enough. There's some sound and there's some silence. And if you order the sound and the silence wisely in some system, you are getting music. By the way, when I mean sounds, I'm just talking about the frequencies, like the literal vibrations in the air, and that vibrations come to my ear and I just understand it as sound. So there are different sound systems in the world. For example, in Turkey, it's Turkish classical music. It's just totally different than the classical Western music. So today we are gonna talk about the Western music, like the most used music system. So for this, the guys who live in the past just realized if they just separate the frequencies in some specific mathematical order, they are achieving a really decent 12 of different keys that they can press and like make a system between them and make musics, and it can be applied to every musical instrument. That is really important because your system in the piano should be working on the violin or in the drum. Like you have to make a system that should cover all the instruments so you can make music with all different instruments, right? So that's why they needed to cut it to the 12 parts, and they call it one octave. So let's go check the piano in here. You are going to see a pattern, right? Like the same thing is happening over and over. I have a pattern like this, starting with the white, 2 black, blah, 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 3 black, 1 more white, and then I get the same pattern. 2 black, blah, 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 3 black. In here, we are seeing 3 times repeating the same pattern over and over. So we are calling it octaves. If I press this button, they call this one A. And after that, we have B. Right now, just pressing the white buttons because only the white ones got their own names. The black ones doesn't have their names. We are just addressing them like the one after or before key. We are just telling them and addressing with some specific word. I'm gonna get to it, but first let's show you all the notes. This is A. This is B. And after some point, the pattern is repeating, so I get back to the A. So that means it's one octave. In the pattern, we have 12 different notes. If you go press all the notes, you just go back to the first pattern. So we are calling it the terms of octave. This means this is A. This is also A, but it's one octave higher. So you can just call it like this. They are just same sound, but they are vibrating 2 times bigger. And if it's vibrating too much, it's becoming more high pitch. If it's vibrating less, we are calling it bass. So it's like this is 220 vibrations. This is 440 vibrations. So just 2 times bigger. If you double the frequencies, you are getting the same note, but as one octave up or lower. So about the black keys, like how we name them, if you are talking about this one, you can address this one from A. If you call it A sharp, the diez icon, or in different scale, you can maybe want to address it as B flat. So if you see the flat icon, you are going to go 1 down. If you see the sharp icon, you are going to go 1 up. So then this key is F sharp, and also at the same time it is G flat, or like this C sharp or D flat. So like this, we can name all the black keys. They are not making it as a purpose. It's because like remembering 12 different keys is like hard. So you just put 7 of them a real name, and you can address the other 5 with just flat or sharp words. So it could be easier to remember. That's why they choose to do it like this. So there are no importance between the black or the white. They are all same stuff. They are just representing some of the portion of the 12. Okay, this is all about naming them and about octaves. It's the most basic stuff. Okay, and also one more thing, it's really important and you will see this all the time. They call it A minor, A major, G sharp major, you know, something like that. What is those terms? It's really not that complicated. So the name has all the information that you need. For example, let's talk about A minor. It's easy because A minor is only using the white keys. That's why it's easy. So calling it A minor or major or something represents when you say A blah blah blah, the A means A note is the king of the scale, the king of your music. And the minor or the major or even Phrygian, Dorian, these terms represents in which order, in which formula you are taking 7 of them inside the 12 of them. So in one octave, we were having 12 different keys, right? You just get some of them and say, I'm gonna choose 7 of them and I'm gonna use only that 7 to make my music. So you cannot use all of the 12 all the time. It's just making not sense. So they just created this scales. When you go to view and scale highlighting, you are going to see a root note section and the scale section. So let's say our root note is A. That means my king, the king of the scale, all of the other keys is gonna serve to the king A. So and the minor natural means which 7 of them I'm gonna use. So let's try. You don't need to remember all of them. You can always Google and learn which scale using which keys. And in the FL Studio you have this perfect option. You can just change your piano roll to any key. So you don't need to think about which keys should I use, which keys is forbidden. So it's good to remember, but at first, if you can't remember them, so don't worry at all. You can do it with digital tools. So let's choose A minor. As you can see, the white keys are the usable keys. So let's go do like this. So A to A. Let's remove this one. This is the keys I can use. So it's just repeating over and over for an octave, as you see. In here, there are some really cool tricks that I can show you. There are always 2 scales sharing the same keys. So if you are making a track, you can always go to other key and make a surprise in your track. So in A minor, if you just count till 3 in the usable keys. So it's A, B, C. You can call, if you move it like this, I'm not broken the formula. I'm just putting the gaps as same amount between them. I'm just moving them like 3 up. So I get C major, A minor, C major. So if you want to find which scales using the same notes, you can just choose a minor scale, find the keys of them, go 3 up. You are going to find its relative major scale. So they are relative to each other and they are sharing the same keys. It's a good information. Just keep that in mind somewhere and remember it when you make music. It's making a really nice taste to your music. So you can always go minor to major and make something different and go back to major. It's gonna sound really nice. So okay, let's go to the chords. Now you know, if I tell you what is D minor, you can always do like this, right? Or you don't even do it. If I ask you what is D minor, the minor formula is same. So you can just, this one was A minor. If I put it to D, now we are seeing D minor scale. So let's see. Only different is we are not using B. Instead of we are going to B flat or A sharp, whatever you call it. So major formula, minor formula, they are just formulas and you can just go to the helpers, find the keys which are usable in that scale. And if you move the root notes, so you just go any minor, any major, any tone you want. So with the same logic, if we needed to go 3 up to find the relative major, now it's D minor. I'm just moving it 1, 2, 3 up this and I just find F major. So it's like this. With one formula, you can just find all of the keys. So I'm just moving it back to the A And now we can talk about how to create chords. So the chords are something like this. We were calling it A minor, right? So it means the A is the king of my key. So every note I'm gonna play at the same time should be serving to the king, serving to the A. The best server to the king is the fifth. This is always like this. They are calling it dominant key in the chord. So if you just count the usable keys in that minor scale, you are going to count A as well and go to the 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So E is the best body of the A. If I play them together, it always sounds good. And the second best helper is the third. So let's find the third. If A is the 1, let's count the usable keys. B is the 2 and C is the third. Let's put C. So if you want to make the most basic chord, you can always put root, which is 1, which is A, 3, and the fifth. So you make A minor chord. If you wanted to go major, in major formula, the third is going 1 up. You are hearing the mood difference already. This is minor. This is major. Major is like more happy, minor is like more sad. So it's the most generic term. I can just tell you about them. Let's go back to making chords. So when you call it, you just call it 1, 3, 5 chords. So if you see some formula, something like this, just put the root key and count and add the other keys. So you just make the chords. You can read every musical note with this point of view. The numbers represents the relationships between the root key. So if the root key is A, when you are talking about the fifth of it, you are talking about the E. So it's easy like this. And if you add one more, let's this time add the seventh. I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 is the G. So this is A minor 7 chord. Just another small note. When you are naming the chords, you can call the lowest one the bass. This one is tenor, alto, soprano. Bass, tenor, alto, soprano. This is naming like this. And with this, you can just tell them, oh, let's change the tenor part. I don't like it. The soprano part. So if someone says just change, let's work on the tenor part of the chord, that means he is talking about the second highest key from the bass. And also, guys, you can make chord progressions with this method. Let's make a basic chord progression. You can start with the root. And maybe we can go somewhere else. It's good if you just finish the bass part first. Then you can build the chords top of them. So when you're ending in the root key, the king of the key, it sounds finished. But you can end in somewhere else or you can start in somewhere else. There are no rules about. So just find the best melody, best progression and build the chords on it. Try to make, so don't think in the rules. You can always start with. So now we are creating the cadence. They are calling it cadences. So if we are going to name this cadence, we could call it 5, 3, 7, 1. I'm just calling the numbers about the relationships to the A, to the root key. And if you want to make the chords, you know how to make it. Let's add the fifth. Let's add the third. And that's all. You just made the basic chords of it. And even we can add the seventh as well. Sounds good. You can always make some inversions of the chords. You probably heard this term a lot. Inversions means just change the positions of the notes. That's all. I can give you some tip. When you are just swapping the positions of them, making the inversions in the chords, make sure in the bass part you are not having this half steps. By the way, this is called steps. I didn't mention it. For example, like there are no notes between them. We are calling them half steps. If there are a note between them, like this, we will call it whole step. So the whole step is here to here. And half step is like this. This is a nice info to know. So in the bass, we don't want the half steps. It sounds really unpleasant. So that's why I'm trying to avoid it. And you can be really creative with them. You can make all the inversions you like. I don't like the B in the bass. As always, ending in the root gives you the feeling of ending feeling, like the phrase is gonna end. If you don't go to the root in the ending, phrase is not gonna end, so just use it in your advantage. If you don't want to end the phrase, just end it maybe third, fifth, or sixth. And if you want the people to say, oh yeah, that phrase is end and I'm satisfied, if you want to give that vibe, just end in the root. So with practice, you are going to be better choosing them. Like when I make music, I'm not thinking about the mathematical stuff or is it allowed to use, is it not allowed to use? Because enough practice, it's becoming a reflex. So your brain starts to think in these formulas all the time when you make music. So don't be afraid at first if you cannot follow them, cannot remember them. In time, you are going to get really nice with it and you will remember it really wisely. And yeah, this is the basics of the music theory when you are making electronical music. There's a whole big world of it. I studied 7 years in musicology in the university, and I cannot say I know all the music theory and stuff. So it's a really complicated stuff. If you learn enough to help you, if you understand the logic between them, it's gonna help your productions really much. That's why just practice all the time. If there are some more questions in your head, you can always ask me in the comments. I'm gonna reply them all. You can join to the Discord server and we are talking this stuff in the server, and you can always ask questions about it. So guys, today that was it. I hope you can apply this info to your productions, and thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Bye bye.